Hi guys, it's Miss Simon. So hope you're having a great day. I wanted to make this video today to help you guys out with science. So remember yesterday we started talking about, you watched an ed puzzle that started talking about the hydrosphere, okay? And you learned that the hydrosphere and the atmosphere, which you've already learned about, are very connected, okay? There's parts of the hydrosphere that have to do with the atmosphere. And yesterday you learned that the hydrosphere, which is the next sphere we're going to talk about, is all about the water on Earth. Okay, so hydrosphere is all about all the different water that's on Earth. So now, after this week, we will have learned about 3 of the 4 spheres. So remember, we talked about the geosphere, which remember is all about geo means land, okay, and rock of Earth. We learned about the atmosphere. Atmo means air. And today we're going to focus on the hydrosphere. And hydro actually means water, okay? So I'm going to share my screen and we'll get started, okay? Remember, if I highlight it, you need to put it down in your notes. All right, so our next sphere that we're going to talk about is the hydrosphere. Go ahead and put that down. Now, the hydrosphere describes the combined mass of water found on, under, and over the surface of the planet. Okay, it includes water in all 3 states. So when we're talking about the hydrosphere, we're talking about all of the water on Earth. It doesn't matter if it's liquid water, it doesn't matter if it's gas water, it doesn't matter if it's solid water like ice. So hydrosphere talks about all of the water on Earth. Okay, so go ahead and put that down. The hydrosphere describes the combined mass of water found on, under, and over the surface of a planet. It includes water in all 3 states. And we're talking about all 3 states is talking about water in solid form, in liquid form, and in gas form. So hydrosphere is all of the water on Earth. I'm going to put this down as well, okay? Hydro means water or liquid. Okay, so if we even think back to what we were talking about in reading last week, we were talking about hydroponics. And that's when, remember, the growing of plants without any soil, they just use water. So that would make sense. Hydroponics, hydro meaning water. And we can look at this picture here and we see the geosphere, which we've already talked about, talks about land, the atmosphere being the air, and finally the hydrosphere, water. All right, so ancient water. Okay, so water is something that if we think about, guys, it's all over our planet. Our planet is actually made up of 70% water. Okay, so the hydrosphere of Earth is quite big. So let's go ahead and put this on in our notes. Ancient water. Water is a very common substance. It covers over 70% of the surface of the Earth. Go ahead and put that in your notes. The Earth is actually 70% water, okay? So the majority of Earth is made up of water. And that actual water, okay, it can come in the form of fresh water or salt water. Okay, so if we think of fresh water, okay, we have fresh water in lakes and streams and rivers. Okay, salt water, obviously salt water is all in our oceans. So water covers 70% of our planet and it can be either fresh water or salt water. Now, this next thing we're going to actually learn, guys, it might be a little shocking, but if we really think about it, it makes sense, okay? So the amount of water on Earth does not change over time. It stays the same. The amount of water that is on Earth today is the same as it was when Earth was formed over 4 billion years ago, okay? So that's why it says water is ancient. So the water that we have on Earth today, right now, that we use is the same water that was here 4 billion years ago. So go ahead and add that to our notes, please. You guys might think, oh, that's gross. I'm using water from 4 billion years ago. Okay. Yeah, obviously we know our water is cleaned after we use it. All right. But it's kind of cool to think about that the water we use today is the same water that was here 4 billion years ago. So I want you to think about this. How is this possible? How is it possible that the water we use today is the same water that was here 4 billion years ago? Think about something that happens at least on a weekly basis that recycles water. You said something like the water cycle, you are correct. Okay, think about it rains, and then that rain goes into rivers and streams and puddles. Okay, and then that rain gets evaporated from the sun and it goes into the clouds, and the clouds get full and it rains again. And it goes into the rivers and the streams and the puddles, and it evaporates, goes into the clouds, and then it rains again. So that's what we call the water cycle. So the reason why the water we have today is the same water that was 4 billion years ago is because of something we call the water cycle. So why is water so important? Well, water sustains life. One of the major differences between Earth and other planets on our solar systems is that it has water. All living organisms need water to survive. Okay, so go ahead and add that into your notes. Why is water so important? All living organisms need water to survive. And if we think about it, some organisms, like jellyfish that we see in this picture, are more than 95% water. So most of their body, 95% of their body is made up of water. Okay. While most other people and most other things are at least half water. Humans are actually made of 70% water. So the majority of the human body is made up of water. Go ahead and add that to our notes. Humans are made up of nearly 70% water. And obviously, this is a clear reason why water is so important. Okay, we need water in order to survive. We are made up of mostly water. Now we looked on the first slide, okay, we said that Earth is made up of 70% water. So most of Earth is water. Where is this water? Okay. So we've already learned about where water can be found in our atmosphere. Remember, we talked about water vapor that can cool the Earth down. But where else can it be found? So I want you to think of all of the places on Earth that where water is. So think of everywhere that you can think of that is water. Okay, so what are some places you can find water on Earth? You said things like rivers, streams, oceans. Okay, you guys are correct. Those are all places that you're going to find water. Now, the biggest place to find water are the oceans. Okay, so of all the water on Earth, 97.5% of it is contained within oceans, and it's salt water. Okay, so 97 and 5/10% is salt water in the oceans. Okay, which means the majority of the water on Earth, almost all of the water on Earth, is salt water. So go ahead and add that to our notes. 97.5% of water is in the oceans as salt water. But since the oceans have 97.5% and that's all salt water, if we think about that, guys, we don't use salt water. We can't use salt water. We don't use salt water to cook. We don't use salt water to clean. We don't use salt water to drink. So that means only 2.5% of Earth's water is fresh. This means that only 2.5% of all water on Earth is usable for drinking, cooking, washing, and other purposes. So when we think about that, that's kind of shocking. So the water that we use and we drink every single day, that's only 2.5% of all of the water on Earth. So go ahead and add that to your notes. And now I'm sure, guys, with that being said, you guys can think of a lot of reasons why it's important to conserve water. Okay, we only have 2.5% of it. And that 2.5% is being split among all millions of people, billions of people across the whole entire world. Because that 97.5% is saltwater, guys. We can't even use that. Okay, so that's kind of where we're going to stop for today. So remember, the hydrosphere is anything that has to do with water. And it's important because water sustains life. Almost everything on Earth is made mostly of water. Okay, even the Earth itself is 70% water. And when we look at that actual water, most of the water, over 97% of it, we can't even use because it's stuck in the oceans as salt water. We can only have 2.5% of fresh water to use, which is kind of crazy. And remember, water, guys, the water that was here now is the same water that was here 4 billion years ago because of the water cycle. So I hope that this video was helpful, and I'll see you guys later.